this is basically a demo and explanation of the chassis for this Ventress Curved saber from CCSabers. This is something that can be bought as a set, so you get it. You get two of these. They make a staff. They make a curved staff like this. I do not have the staff coupler. I just have the two individual sabers, and I just installed the one. So this is fine for the sake of this demo. Because I did the chassis run for Carl Chen. I'm going to go ahead and walk over this chassis because it comes in 4 parts, and then I'll try to insert some pictures with my expert video skills. Okay. I don't know how people insert pictures and then talk over them. So whenever I insert a picture, there'll be a small pause where you can maybe pause the video and see what I'm talking about. However, this is the installed one. We're going to put this off to the side, and we'll go over it here in a second. But I have the second one that's not installed. And we'll kind of walk through the install. Okay, so when you first get this, this pommel section has 3 screws. It's going to have this one small top one, and then you're going to have 2 in these 2 holes right here that I've already taken off. But once you take those 3 off, you can pop the pommel right off. Okay, and then you're going to want to take the emitter off. So the emitter, if you look in there, I've already taken the screws out, but it's going to have this little plate in there, and it will have 4 small Phillips head screws. So you take those out, and then this comes off. All right, we'll set this off to the side. Then you've got this piece right here. So we'll just unscrew this. And we'll set this off to the side as well. And we're left with this core, right? So my chassis it's a 4-part chassis. There's the main piece back here, which looks like a very simple thing, and I'll throw a picture of it up right now. It holds the board, it holds the kill switch, it holds the recharge port, so 1.3mm recharge port, and it holds a stock. It's a speaker pogo pin set, which you can get through Smuggler's Outpost on Etsy because Albert carries those. Okay, so that's what's back here. And then the second piece over here towards the switches in here is it holds your 2 switches and your battery. And I'll throw a picture of that one up right now. All right. Now there's something tricky you're going to have to do to this saber in order to get it to work. It's so tight in here. I had to put the battery up here. I couldn't put it down here. There's not enough room. So the battery and the switches go up here. I did have to go in here, and you can see that front nut, right? That's bouncing up and down. There's 2 of them actually. There's one for each switch that holds the switch in. I had to take those out. I had to either Dremel or file down. I mean, I used a Dremel, but it would be safer and wiser to use a file if you don't feel comfortable using a Dremel. But I had to take that thickness of those nuts and I had to drop them down to about half. And then I screwed them back in there. That's going to take a little bit. It might be a little frustrating, but that's something you have to do. There's 0 room in here. I've used the lowest pro tactile switches I could possibly find. I don't know the millimeter height offhand, but I'll get that later and I'll give it to Carl. But those switches sit on the actual battery, and that's how tight it is in there. And I'll throw a picture of that up right now. So as you can see, those switches sit right on, they're glued right to the battery. The switch holder and battery holder is basically just kind of a top sleeve to make sure that the switches don't rotate on you. All right, and that's what's going on there. So the first thing I did was I wired all that up, and I put it in here, made sure I had clearance, right? Put it in here. I do have 2 wire channels on that holder that you'll see. So I made sure that my 3 wires for my NeoPixel connector were just kind of like hanging out this way, but enough slack to also be out this way, and I slid that entire thing in. The actual NeoPixel connector for your emitter it should be one of the last things that you do. And I made a PCB holder that was it's 0.9 inches long, because that's plenty of room to fit in there and kind of like coil up the wire slack from wiring up your PCB and still have plenty of blade depth. I mean, if you look at the blade depth I have here, it's plenty, right? You can see my blade, my retention screw for my blade, it's pretty far up here, so you got plenty of room and everything's good to go there. All right, you'll just have to figure out how to put that in. You can use some E6000. I used glue, but you can use E6000. It's probably smarter. Okay. I tend to glue things down because I'm a little impatient while I'm building, and I don't like to sit there and wait for that stuff to cure for 20 minutes. I'd rather work. All right. But anyway, that's just a matter of, that's a personal preference. But anyway, put that in. I will come back here and I'll put my emitter back on, do all the assembly, with those 4 screws and everything, get this back on, and then I will move down to here. Once you get this part in, it's pretty easy. It's the most difficult part, really. But once you get that and you move down here, this is easy. This is just standard wiring for your recharge port, kill switch, your speaker pogo pins, and your board. You can wire all that up. Now you'll notice on my main chassis, it looks pretty simple. There's a wide open back. I didn't do anything fancy there. I wanted it as wide open as could be because you're going to have to work solder out here, and then for me what I did was after I was done, I took that chassis and I just twisted it as I pushed it in. That way all the wire slack went inside the chassis because it does have to be pushed in all the way. All right, let me pull this out, show you what it looks like. Pushed in all the way, it looks like that. You can see, hopefully you can see there, that chassis is angled because the hole for the chassis is straight, but it goes in like at an angle, if that makes sense. Okay, so your chassis will be angled in there, and that's why the speaker pod I made is angled, and I'll throw a picture of that up right now too. But yeah, it's angled, so you need to pay attention. The long part of the speaker goes on top, right? So that it matches the angle of this chassis that's in there. If I were to push this in, just like that, it touches everything, okay? And this does have to go in a certain way. So that should get you through the install. There's a speaker pod fully enclosed. I used a 22mm Smuggler's Outpost Nano Elite speaker. And of course, there's your speaker PCB right there, right, for your connection. But fully enclosed speaker sounds really good. So when we're putting this on, when we're putting the speaker on, you can't just throw it in the pommel and throw the pommel on. It doesn't fit that way. You're going to have to first take this speaker, put it in the saber. It's kind of a nice tight press fit in there. Make sure it's in there all the way. Then you come back and you put the pommel on. Okay, it just fits better that way. I made everything to be pretty tight so it doesn't rattle around. Take your time. There's a little tab you got to get through, but you push that in. Now you can come back and you can put your 2 screws in here. You can put your 1 screw in here and you're good to go. All right, so we'll do that again. This time I'll turn the saber on. Come over here and flip the kill switch. Throw that speaker in. That's good to go. Come over here and put the pommel on. It's tight, but it'll go. Just like that. I'm not going to screw this down for the sake of this demo because it takes too long. But activation over here. The speaker sounds very good in this saber. And I have it set to like 13 or 1400, I think, in the config. Not very much. Auxiliary back here. This takes a 7/8 inch blade. I won't lock it down for now. I'm just going to go ahead and I'll put it in here and hit power. Very solid, right? And the saber is very light in the hand. Go ahead and take that out. Yeah, and that is basically how you install this. So it takes a little bit of patience. It's not just a straight shot. Things have to go in a certain way, but very possible to do. I did not glue down or lock down my chassis in any way. So sometimes it will like spin just a hair on me. But I also filed down the sides of my Proffie board so that this wouldn't be a tight fit. I filed it down quite a bit to bring the width of the Proffie down. If you don't do that as much and you have a little bit more of a press fit for that, then that chassis won't twist on you. Okay, I was just playing it safe in case I needed to get back out of it since this was the first one that I had done. But anyway, that is the Ventress Saber and the installation, how I did it on the chassis design if you choose to buy it. All right, thanks.